Hey everybody, hello, my name is Darius Anucauskas and I'm a global market analyst here at Markets.com, and today is Wednesday, the 21st of May of still 2025, right? So look, I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. I mean, you had a first week. We passed the first week already. I hope it was still good for you. We had a few important economic data sets coming out here and there. So yeah, we'll look into all that as well, and also we'll look into what's happening in the remaining week. So let's dig in. Let's see how our midweek is doing so far. And yeah, I'll see you in a bit, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, if you didn't realize, this is just a little video recording before the webinar starts. The webinar starts in a few moments right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome everybody. Sorry about this little pause here with the camera. For some reason it didn't switch off, but hey, you know, we all have technical little glitches here and issues. But we're now working, we're now live. I'm live, so yeah, so you can see my face in there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and I hope you're all doing fantastic today. Today is the 21st of May, as I already said. 2025 still, so I hope you're all having a good week so far. Look, in this session, as always, we're going to look at the markets. We'll see what's happening. We'll look at the technical fundamental side of it, and yeah, we'll see how we can play this game, you know. Look, before we jump into all that action, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendations and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'm not going to disappear anywhere. So yes, I hope, like I said, I hope everybody's having a wonderful start of, or sorry, what am I talking about? Wonderful midweek. I hope everybody's having a wonderful midweek. I hope, you know, the start of this week was good. Look, in general, the markets have been, you know, releasing some important data sets, and to be honest, I mean, it's all kind of working okay. I don't have any bad reservations against the action, the activity in the market. Also, by the way, before we jump into the charts, just a quick mentioning of our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the Nikkei. So, in terms of economic data, let's just quickly refresh our memories here. So, Japan did not really release much on Monday, Tuesday. Today, we're also we got the balance trade balance basically, but for some reason it's not showing up here. Let me just refresh this calendar. Maybe it's going to show up then, but yeah, there we go. So okay, not very good in my opinion, but okay, still workable, you know. But you can see that Nikkei is drifting lower. In general, right now, the markets have kind of started shifting a little bit more towards the downside, but I think that for now, it's all part of the good, nice correction that we probably need to see here, need to observe, because we had a good rally, we had a good run, and on all the indices, and maybe now a little bit of retracement could be nice. Looking at this picture here, and if you remember last week, this week, I kept on saying and I kept on talking about this one, and I said, look, potentially we could see maybe something of an inverted head and shoulders maybe forming here, with the neckline being somewhere around this 38,000 kind of 200 zone territory. And yeah, like I said, we did get a nice little retracement back down here. So we're still having that one, and this is the point where I'm going to draw my beloved Fibonacci level here very quickly. Just bear with me one moment. There we go. So you can see that the area right here, the 23.6, is actually very nicely positioned with the idea here of maybe forming the right shoulder, and it kind of coincides also with the 50-day EMA here on my side, on my chart, on my daily chart. And yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, this could be like a beautiful formation forming right now. Yes, and we could see maybe like a little rebound here at some point. Look, I'm kind of leaning to, as you probably understood, from the short-term perspective, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside. But again, I don't want to rush into things. First, I'm going slowly on this. If we dropped below the 200-day EMA, that's great. My next target is the 100-day EMA. And if we clear down, okay, wonderful. I'll go for that 50-day EMA, which kind of coincides almost with this 23.6 on the Fibonacci retracement, which is drawn from the lowest point of April to the current highest point of May. So yeah, I mean, maybe that could play out nicely. Looking at the monthly candle here, by the way, I'm looking at I'm looking at the actual index, the way it's traded during market hours. Not the cash or futures or anything like that. So I just wanted to kind of see it from that perspective, by the way. So maybe you'll have something a little bit different on your chart. Now, look, the monthly candle here is still, it's still positive for the month here. But again, are we excluding the possibility of seeing a retracement, a larger retracement here back down towards this 23.6? I doubt it. I mean, I'm not excluding that. I'm actually including that. So let's see if this is going to work out beautifully or not. Again, like I said, for now, I'm seeing this as a possible inverted head and shoulders pattern. However, anything can change very quickly. We know that right now, there is this tax bill that in the U.S. that they're trying to pass through Congress, that one's like that one's a little bit of a difficult one to understand, how it's going to go. For now, I mean, just let's say I'm reading some information right now here. Again, this is the close on. So basically, as at the moment, they're trying to find as well, what's going to happen with the tariffs. In general, I think that Nikkei is also drifting lower. That the uncertainty kind of came back into the market about the tariffs. So if they know, they all understand that they know that the problem here is that that we have a pause for 90 days. Wonderful, great. However, what's after? What are you going to do after? Are you going to go back to the same tariff thing, or the tariff your tariffs, or what's going to happen? So this uncertainty is really driving the market right now to the downside. Look, it's all understandable. It's all okay. However, you don't see the big declines because again, there is still hope that a deal can be reached because the deal has been reached before, right? We avoided like a total collapse. So that's why, yes, it's currently like something negative. However, still there is hope. So the hope part is kind of bigger than we had last time. So now we're like because we know that a deal can be reached. Jaltek, I hope you have a great day. What is the implications of the UK government now regulating crypto? Look, with the cryptos, I will jump into that. Look, I mean, if you don't mind sitting through the webinar, because look, I have the indices, commodities, then I have the Forex, and then I have the cryptos that I will jump into. I do have a little bit of an opinion on this topic. So if you don't mind, I mean, if you if you can sit, I really appreciate first of all, I really appreciate your comment, but if you can allow me to jump into the cryptos, and then I'll pick up on that. But look, very quickly, and like I said, I do have my opinion on that. And if you don't have the time, let's say right now, maybe you can also we can watch the recording of this webinar as well. So just to kind of let you know. So in case like I said, you're struggling with time right now, yeah. I'll get to your question when I'll jump into the cryptos. Thank you very much for that. It's a good question. It is a good question. So coming back to the situation here. So yes, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside here for now, until we get some sort of more like positive news in the market. Let's jump into other indices very quickly. China is trying to bounce back up here. That's fine. That's great. So we're near key resistance area, 13,800. Let's see if we can clear down. I'm approaching this one purely from the technical perspective because this area provided fantastic resistance. So if I can get a nice clearance of that one, then great, I'll go further north. Jumping into Australia, by the way, let's have a look at what's happening with Australia for now. So initially I was drawing the Fibonacci retracement, but yeah, there we go. It was a little bit too early, so for now I'm going to get rid of it. I'll wait for better times until I can draw a nice little Fibonacci retracement. But look, there is positivity. The positivity kicked in yesterday, and if you forgot why, well, basically we had the RBA interest rate decision where the bank managed to drop the rate by 25 basis points. Now, the Chinese part here, the Chinese index is also pushing nicely to the upside and pushed nicely to the upside yesterday because the PBOC dropped the rate not by 25 basis points, but by just 10 basis points, which is still fine. It's still okay. We're gonna, it's still doable. So it's still a positive. Now jumping into the US, look, we stalled a little bit yesterday. We stalled near this key area of resistance. I talked about this on Monday, and this 42,000 kind of 900 zone, maybe a little bit below that. It provided fantastic resistance. So I think that, yeah, it's fair to say that, this is the barrier that we're going to be watching in order to consider higher levels. So if we can get that breakout, let me just highlight this a little bit more. If we can get that breakout here, wonderful. I will get a little bit more excited with the upside. So basically something like this. Of course, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, if we're going to struggle to break this barrier, that's it, we're going to go lower. I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside, but basically I'm leaning in the same way as with the Nikkei 225, because maybe we're going to form something of an inverted complex inverted head and shoulders here because we have like a double head here. We have the left shoulder, maybe we'll form the right shoulder, and like I said, the situation right now that they're trying to pass that bill, and they're in the US, and kind of it's giving that uncertainty. Of course, the same tariff thing is also providing that little uncertainty, what's going to happen after, but still, like I said, hope is still there. But maybe this is the time for the index to maybe to retrace a little bit, maybe to correct back down, just to kind of see what's happening, and then we can maybe move higher. So look, at the moment, of course, my ideal scenario, if it would go here towards this 40,660 zone. However, I think that let's be a little bit maybe more realistic. Let's keep an eye on these EMAs, and especially the 50-day EMA shown here as the green line, because if that one, if we do see a retracement, if we do hold here somewhere, then great. Nice little rebound here could be possible, because look, the right shoulder doesn't have to be all the way like this. Look, it doesn't have to be all the way like symmetrical in a way. It can be a little bit higher here, that's fine. So we have different formations, but the most important still is the breakout here through the neckline. But that's on the Dow. On the S&P, is a little bit different. I mean, on the S&P, initially I was kind of also thinking about this possible inverted head and shoulders pattern, but no, the market is really doing quite well. By the way, Dow Jones Industrial Average has been on a slower pace because UNH, this little company here, has been on the lower side. I mean, it's a big company. It's in United Health Group, and it's a big company, a big component of the Dow, and yeah, it got hammered, basically, really got hammered. So of course it will recover at some point, maybe, but let's not rush into things yet. So let's go back to the S&P 500. Overall I'm still bullish on this one. I'm still pushing. I'm still aiming for the current all-time high, because again, maybe we'll form something like a double top here. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that this is exactly what's going to happen, but it's a good area, it's a good target. We could see an overshoot, of course, but eventually if we continue to trade below this, then below this 6,147 zone somewhere, then yep, I'm considering a bit of a move lower, because look, on a monthly chart you'll be able to see it very nicely here. Look at this pin bar on a monthly chart. Wow, that was amazing. Talk about a reversal signal. And on a weekly you can see it very clearly. So let's see if this is, you know, gonna stall here. If it's not gonna stall, if it's gonna continue. Yeah, sorry, I mean Yaltek, sorry, hey, thank you very much. Look, actually, if you're yeah, okay, in the UK we'll watch, okay, it doesn't work now, right? Okay, sorry about that, but like I said, I will pick up on cryptos. It's just that I'm trying to have like this little bit of a structure moment in there. Look, in terms of, like I said, in terms of the S&P 500, so again, the same story. Well, let's not rush into, you know, upside yet, because again, I am leaning towards the upside. However, I'm also considering a little bit of a retracement first. So if we do fall and stay below the 5,907, or in general maybe below the 5,900 zone, if we do stay below that, then great. I will consider a little bit of a move lower here. NASDAQ, let's have a look at this one, also stalling a little bit. Look, companies like these that are, you know, driving the NASDAQ, and companies like these which are also driving NASDAQ, I mean, that's why NASDAQ is doing quite well, and we're not really far from the all-time highs again. And let's see if we can reach that. Let's see if we can push towards this area. And again, for now, I'm not going to exclude the possibility of a little bit of a retracement, but I will only consider that if we do fall back below the 21,138 zone. If we do that, I will consider a bit of a larger correction back down. We do have some, you know, we can draw some steep upside lines here, but they're a little bit on the sensitive side, to be honest. And yeah, for now, I will consider, like I said, I'll still consider the upside, but any throwback here could be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of buying. And let's have a look at DAX here as well. So look, DAX, I mean, yesterday a new all-time high. I mean, this is unstoppable. This is just one-way traffic. However, what's interesting here right now on my side is that maybe we're gonna have something of a possible island reversal. Let's see if that's gonna be the case. If this candle today's candle is gonna drift lower and gonna, let's say, fall back below the 23,912 zone here, this one right there, the high of the 12th of May, then yeah, I'm going to consider a little bit of a retracement back down. This is, like I said, this is looking quite interesting. But if we do start popping above the 24,082 zone, well, there we go. We could see a nice move to the upside, because we would enter uncharted territory, and the forthcoming higher high will be confirmed. Let's jump into the FTSE 100. So yes, we're seeing a little bit of a retracement. That's fine. Again, it's all okay. What can I say? For now, if we do somehow fall back below the 8,743, 42 zone right here, I'm going to consider a little bit of a retracement back down towards my EMAs here on the daily chart. Let's jump into gold. Gold is rocking it. You know, gold is drifting nicely to the upside. And look, so far, I mean, I talked about this last week, this week, and I said to you that if we're, you know, maybe we're in the falling channel pattern here, something like that. So let me just, you know what, let me just do a proper falling channel here, just to, so that I would extend it, I would be able to extend it. So, oh, why is it like this? Okay, I don't have any, right, okay, somebody removed the borders. Yeah, okay. So let me just do the coloring a little bit very quickly here. So this is, yeah, what? Okay, there we go. So, right, so this is the falling channel that I'm kind of referring to. And okay, look, for now, everything's working like a charm. Everything is working like a charm. Everything is very positive within the falling channel. Now, if you're looking for some higher levels, much higher levels, then I think you need to wait for a break of the upper side of this falling channel, and you need to see the body of the daily candle staying above that area in order to get a little bit more comfortable with further upside. We cleared my 3,250 zone. I talked about it on Monday. I said that, look, if we do push above this, then yeah, I'll go higher, and there we go, we're going higher. And then I said that, look, I will target the upper side of the falling channel, because in general, you have to approach it this way. While we remain inside the pattern, while we remain inside the falling channel formation, then the overall trend is still to the downside in a way. But again, the more we test the sides of it, the more chances there are to break it. So if we can clear the upper side of the falling channel, then great. I will consider a move to the upside. I will consider a move towards my 3,400 and maybe 23.37 zone right here, somewhere here, and then we'll go from there. For now, if you're looking for the downside, a drop below the 3,250 zone is needed, and if we can drop below this 3,250 zone, I will consider a move back down, a little bit of a move back down. Of course, there will be some obstacles like the 50-day EMA, maybe the 100-day EMA, but okay, the 100-day EMA is a little bit further away here, but I think that the 50-day EMA could be a next target if we do fall back below the 3,250 zone. And I'm talking about right now, not talking about, let's say, several days in the future or something, because then it might change. So yeah, that's my game plan right now for ARN Gold. I'm still leaning towards the upside, but initially only for the upper side of this falling channel, and that could be roughly around the 3,350 zone. Silver is popping nicely to the upside, breaking the upper side here of this. I wouldn't say it's a channel, it's more like actually something trying to see a bullish flag, and yeah, we're clearing the upper side here. That's fine. I mean, what can I say? I mean, it's looking a little bit more. It's looking a little bit more bullish than bearish, but where is that? Where is that? There we go. But I need a confirmation break, probably additional confirmation break above the 33.68 zone, and then we'll go from there. WTI Oil. Let's have a look. We had a good move yesterday. Look at this. Boom. Push higher, testing the downside line, testing the 50-day EMA, and this is, like I said, this is where we kind of moved it. We kind of moved for a nice breakout. We broke out above it, and but then we failed to stay. So that's what I'm saying. That's why the triangle here is still valid. So I said to you before that maybe we're not in a range, but more of a like in a triangle pattern of some sort. And if it is a symmetrical triangle, which is with a little bit of a tilt here, then the most likely scenario for this one is to break out lower, because with the prevailing trend is to the downside. We entered this triangle, and yeah, there is a chance for this one to break out to the downside. However, again, we're testing the upper side right now. We're testing the 50-day EMA, so let's not exclude the upside scenario for now, unless we start falling below 15th of May low here near the $60 mark. If we fall back below that, great. More sellers here could join in. Natural gas, beautiful push back up. This is a little bit of a roller coaster ride, to be honest, and it's getting a little bit annoying, to be honest. So you know what? I'm not gonna let's say focus on the levels too much here, but more of on the EMAs. If we do push above all my EMAs and stay above those, then yes, great, I'll go higher. Let's jump into cocoa futures. Look at this. I mean, this is beautiful. This is amazing, and this is pushing back to the upside. However, it did push back to the upside. So I actually missed this, to be honest, because it was forming a nice little triangle pattern. This is a very nice textbook scenario here. There we go. Look at this breakout. Fantastic. According like in all the books. Technical analysis books, and there we go. We cleared some levels, we cleared some key areas of resistance. Now we're staying above this high, above the highest, the high of the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. We're staying above that 10,700 zone. So hey, let's see if we can, can remain there, and we can continue pushing higher. Let's see if that happens. Let's jump into very quickly into this one, the sugar. Sugar is drifting back down. It's very interesting, actually. It's falling back below the 17.5 zone, and at the moment, I mean, I'm not gonna get way too bearish, because my bearishness will come on a drop below the 17 mark. If we can fall and stay below that, I'm gonna lean a little bit more towards the downside. And my favorite cotton, let's have a look at this one. There we go. Oh, looking good. Cotton futures, no, that's not the one that I need to look at. Anyway, forget about cotton for now. I think it's not the one that I'm looking at here. Anyway, it's fine. I'll pick up on the other one. Actually, maybe it's in here, in my previous list. Yes, it is in my previous list. So cotton, there we go, that's the one. So it's kind of rebounding nicely from the 64.86. I'm very happy, to be honest, because this is what I talked about on Monday, and there we go. We rebounded, beautiful. Let's see if we can now climb above all these EMAs. If we can do that, amazing. I'll consider some higher areas. So jumping now into Forex. Where's my Forex? Let me just go back into neutral here. Forex, very quickly, AUDUSD. So we're still oscillating. I'm loving the pair now, to be honest. We're oscillating around the 200-day EMA, but it's at the same time, it's providing me an opportunity for later. Maybe we'll get a nice clearance of this 0.6515, or maybe we'll see a drop below this upside line, below the EMAs here, the 50 and the 200, so the 50 and the 100. And basically, yes, I mean, while we remain inside this area, I'm just observing the price action. So in a way, also, you can say that this is looking a little bit more bullish than bearish, because maybe somebody can see something of a bullish flag here or whatever. But you know what? Let's not rush into things. By the way, forgot to look at DXY. Yes, DXY is drifting lower. Yes, not loving the whole tax break thing, apparently. And yep, we're seeing a nice break of this upside line. So at the moment, I am, like I said, I am leaning a little bit more towards the downside, to be honest. I want to see what's going to happen. Initially, I'm going to maybe target some of these levels, because again, let's not rush into the downside very quickly. So initially, I'm targeting the 99.17. If that gets cleared, 98.90 is my next one. And if that gets cleared, I'm going to go for the lowest point of April. So yes, coming back to the pairs here very quickly. So that's the situation with AUDUSD. If we are expecting the decline in DXY, then we could see this one, like I said, playing out according to what I just said previously, that maybe somebody could see this as a somewhat of a flag, maybe, or something like that, or a pennant, and that means that the further trend could be to the upside. However, as always, a confirmation break is needed. AUDJPY, so yes, looking interesting here. So look, previously I talked about this one, and I said to, let me just draw this one very quickly. So I said to you, keep your eyes on this downside line, which is, don't get me wrong, a little bit on the tentative side. However, keep your eyes on it. And so far, it seems like we are kind of respecting it. So my theory goes that whenever we break a trend line, we tend to revisit it from the other side, and this is what we are doing exactly now. But after that, we kind of tend to rebound and push back up. So I'm not excluding this possibility as well, because I also really do like this barrier. I really like this barrier, and this is a good area of resistance, which is currently coinciding with the 200-day EMA. So this 95.75 territory is a good barrier to be to watch. And another thing is that maybe, just maybe, we're having ourselves a nice little inverted head and shoulders pattern right here. So, like, hey, don't forget that we could see a quick drop here towards this area, and if it holds, a bounce back could be possible. So yes. For now, I am just observing the price action here, but again, I'm a little bit more bullish than bearish. However, if we start falling below this area, below this 91.86 zone, then well, Great, more sellers here could join in. Let's jump into NZD/USD. So this one's looking also somewhat positive, but as I keep on saying, the 0.6029 zone is the one that I'm watching. So I'm just gonna observe the price action. I'm not gonna touch it. Nope, until while it remains in here in this area, I'm just observing the price action. Unless it starts falling below all my EMAs. Now then I'll get a little bit more excited. Jumping into USDJPY, ladies and gentlemen. So of course we understand that the DXY is dropping. The stock market is kind of slowing down the pace a little bit. So maybe this is giving us like a perfect cocktail for selling the USDJPY, because everybody's kind of, you know, jumping into the yen a little bit and selling the US dollar. And there we go. That's the, like I said, that's the cocktail you get. And we're seeing a little bit of a move to the downside. So I'm not going to exclude further declines. And I think that those are quite reasonable here. So as long as we stay below the 144 zone, I'm leaning towards the downside right here. USDCAD. So USDCAD. Now this one is an interesting one. Yesterday we had the CPIs from Canada, and those came out on the higher side, on the higher, ish. So inflation rate 1.7, yes, lower than the previous, but the thing is that it came out higher than the forecast. This the core year-on-year number came out higher than the previous even. So yeah, like, I mean, and the median as well, where's that median? Yes, the median also came out on the higher side. So we're seeing positivity in USDCAD, and we saw, you know, a breakout through my little triangle pattern here. It worked out nicely, because I said while we remain inside the pattern, we could be coiling up, but we need a clearance through one of the sides here. And we got the move here lower, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is great. However, everything is taken with a pinch of salt, because my really bearish scenario will be on a drop below the 1.3750 zone. However, anything up until here could still provide some sort of support, like for example this inside swing high of the 6th of May, and from here we could, you know, rebound, and we could see like a nice push back up. But again, a lot depends on, you know, a lot depends on the economy, a lot depends on what are they doing with the tax bill, and in general further steps. So we have to, unfortunately, we have to go day by day on this one, but at least some sort of sense we can, you know, we can try to build here. USDCHF broken nicely this upside line, broken this upside line. Yes, great, wonderful. So now the question is what's next? And to be honest, I would say this way, that if we do fall below this 0.8193 territory, I'll go further south. And my next target will be this 0.8040 zone, and then we'll go from there. Let's jump into the EURUSD. EURUSD broken out nicely here. So far, so good. I talked about it this week, and I said that, look, maybe this is gonna, you know, maybe it's forming here a little bullish flag here, but we have a downside line that we need to overcome. So there we go. We broke this downside line, and now we're examining these higher levels. And to be honest, yeah, I think we need to stick to those for now, at least. So for now, I'm aiming for the 1.1381 zone, and then we're going to go from there. Ideally, the 1.15, 1.16 is my target, but hey, let's not rush into things. EUROJPY, this one is a little bit of a mess. So I previously talked about this idea of a triangle pattern. It did kind of work initially, but then it kind of stopped. So back to the drawing board, basically. So yes, so we can see a bunch of resistance areas that were cleared. That's great. Now we're holding above the EMAs, so these are providing good support. However, if we clear all the EMAs on the daily chart here, I'm going to go lower. But at the moment, look, let's not rush into things. Let's go slowly on this one. If we do fall, like I said, below all the EMAs, I'm going to go to the downside. GBPUSD. So GBPUSD inflation numbers came out this morning. Let's have a look. Quick look. Right, there we go. Core inflation year on year higher than the forecast, than the previous 3.8. Wow, I mean, inflation year on year 3.5. Yeah, in general, like I said, this is what I talked about in my webinar. Well, sorry, not webinar, but like little video analysis that I did, and I just wanted to show you what I'm talking about here. You can always check out our channel for more information. Basically, this little piece that I did yesterday on EU, Canada, UK, and Japan inflation this week. So, and the outlooks on those on relative currencies, and this is working out so far great. So, what I talked about yesterday, I said, look, maybe we're forming something like a like a triangle pattern here, could be eventually, but for that triangle pattern you would need to see now a hold up near this 1.3444 and then a drift back down, but then creation of a maybe higher low here, and yeah, then we'll get ourselves something of a triangle. But at the moment, look, we pushed above the 1.3444 because inflation came out on the higher side. So yes, so far so good, because again, this could stop the BOE to continue cutting rates, because I know that we are seeing those guys in there continuing to cut rates. However, I said it before and I'll say it again, I think they're a little bit late to the party with the cuts, and I think now that the inflation started picking up, I think all other central banks did kind of understand that inflation will pick up. So you need to cut rates earlier because, well, let's face it, it's nice to hike rates to control inflation. It's nice to hike rates from lower levels rather than from higher levels. So yeah. So now, like I said, the BOE is at an interesting spot. Maybe they will ignore all this and then just continue cutting interest rates. This way, the British pound could devalue a little bit. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need this to make their exports a little bit more attractive on the global arena, especially against the US dollar here. And the cars need to be sold, and you're not gonna buy with your dollars from the UK if the UK pound is very strong. It's becoming way too luxury, way too luxury. However, it doesn't really stop a lot of people, so it's all a matter of everything is subjective in a way. Anyway, so yeah, GBPUSD. Look, I will continue targeting the upside as long as we push and stay above the 1.3444 zone right here, and then we'll go from there. Look, let's jump into the crypto world. To be honest, I can see that, yes, Yaltec, again, depends on how you pronounce this, how you write this. So yeah, I thank you very much once again for the question. So the question goes, what is the implication of the UK government now regulating crypto? Look, I think it's because we're human, we adjust. Of course, somebody will say not good, because again, that's the whole point of cryptos. That's the whole point of cryptos, that they're not regulated, and yes, it is always a gamble. Maybe your money will show up, maybe it will disappear, but it's still kind of, like I said, on the negative is, like I said, that it's losing this kind of this freedom. It's losing its freedom, let's put it this way. Of course, at the same time, it's losing the possibility of it's losing the heightened risk element behind it. But to defend the regulation part. Now, if a lot of people do want to participate in the crypto world, and because there were so many bad actors in the field, that's what happens. This is exactly what all the time happens. Right, initially you do something for the people, but then some people start to abuse it, and the regulator can't wait to step in and just take the driver's seat and just kind of go from there. So and it's the same story everywhere. You have your speed cameras everywhere, because again, there are some individuals who don't like to, you like to drive fast and everything, but everything in moderation. But once everybody starts abusing it, that's when the regulator kicks in. So look, of course, MiCA here is also the European regulation. The ESMA is also kicking in, with MiCA, and it is putting a lot of pressure. And but as always, humans find a way how to go around everything. And you go to other jurisdictions. Maybe you abandon there. You go into other jurisdictions, which is one way of like overcoming everything. But I think that the fact that it's getting regulated by by the government, again, you're pleasing one side, you're not pleasing the other, and again, you need to sometimes choose which side do you want to please most. So given that we have now things like Bitcoin ETF, there were I think there was way too much money that BlackRock and what's the other one, Vanguard, I think that they put into this whole Bitcoin ETF, and now we're going to see other ones like Ethereum ETF, and like maybe Litecoin ETF, Ripple ETF, and so on and so on. Yeah, maybe, like I said, this is where the regulator kind of kicks in, and everybody thinks that, look, it's better to regulate this because everybody's putting money into those ETFs, those crypto ETFs. And you do want a little bit of maybe control of some sort, like maybe a little bit of regulation. Like I said, it's a stick with two ends, unfortunately, and you need to find what's working best for you, as always. If you like this, okay, you can go ahead and you can still like trade cryptos in general. But in terms of money transfers, that's kind of the main thing that everybody's trying to control in a way. The money transfer, the ease of the money transferring part, or basically to have track, to have like this footprint, like where did you send your money, where did you send this money, and that's kind of the main goal. So they're not going to really stick their nose too much into all this in order not to kind of really damage the whole crypto concept per se, right? But they want to know where the money is traveling, how the money is moving, and that's the goal here. And again, depends on what you do in your life, depends on what's your main business, and how you're using Bitcoin. Then of course, like I said, yeah, there will be some winners, there will be some losers out of it. So yeah, but we humans, we adapt, we adjust. And at the moment, look, in terms of like a regulation, in terms of everybody thinking now, okay, so if we're going to get regulated more, are we going to see some crazy moves to the upside? Yes. Crazy, I don't know, because again, it will be regulated. So for now, long story short, I would say this way, that this regulation part, it actually may attract more capital into the crypto world, and it might actually increase the attractiveness. So that's why there could be some more upside to this. And at the moment, I'm carefully watching this 110 zone or a little bit below that, and then we'll go from there. If we clear it, wonderful, I'll go higher. But if we struggle to clear this 110 zone, well, maybe we're going to have ourselves something of a double top here. Let's see. Bitcoin Cash is trying to push back up here. It held nicely above the EMAs. That's wonderful. But as I said, 408 zone, that's what I need to see a break off in order to go higher. Because why? Because that is the highest point, the current highest point of this week so far. Ethereum is also trying to remain afloat, stay afloat, stays above the 200-day EMA for now, and we could see some more action to the upside here if we do clear this barrier, this 2,737 territory, and then we'll go from there. Now then, if we do push further north, of course, I'm aiming for that psychological 3,000 zone, and then we'll go from there. Ripple is stuck here, stuck above these EMAs, but there's a little bit of sign of positivity that the 50-day EMA crossed above the 100-day EMA. So yeah, let's see if we can stay here. And if we do, then my next target is this downside line taken from the high of the 16th of January. Now, of this year, of course. But again, this is a very tentative line. So we might respect it, we might not respect it. Litecoin is okay, look, I want to say it's forming a really beautiful bullish flag here because where's that parallel channel? Because of this. I mean, okay, it's maybe not a very parallel channel, but somewhat of a parallel channel. So yeah, we can draw whatever we want in a way, right? So it looks like one, but again, although it looks like a bullish flag, although such patterns tend to break to the upside, but again, a confirmation break is needed through the upper side first before getting comfortable with the upside. Dogecoin, very quickly, Dogecoin is also in a similar way, in a similar form here. It's also forming this nice falling channel pattern, but again, we're closer to the upper side, so there is a greater chance for this one to break out higher. However, as always, a breakout here through this territory, through the 0.2378 zone is required, at least a push above that area. And finally, Polkadot. Polkadot is also curving back up, or at least trying to. We're oscillating within the EMAs here, but between the EMAs here. We're kind of stuck here in between the 50 and the 200. We're oscillating around the 100-day EMA. Look, 5.37. I think that's the barrier that I'm watching here. That's the convenient area for me from where to start looking at the upside. You can see it clearly on the weekly here. I'm not rushing, like I said, into things. Maybe this is going to form something like a nice bullish flag here. Maybe going into next week, we'll see some more action to the upside. And look how well this 5.37 almost coincides with the 50-day EMA. If we clear that area, I will go to the upside. On the daily here, don't forget that there is still room for some downside if we respect this upside line. If we kind of keep an eye on it. Because again, we could see a drift lower here, test this area. Maybe actually, we could test this little hurdle here somewhere, this 4.37, and from here we'll go, further. If we do remain above the upside line and the 50-day EMA and this 4.37, great. I'm leaning towards the upside. But if we start clearing all that, if we start clearing this upside line, then it kind of opens the door towards some lower levels again. So let's not get too kind of aggressive yet. Because like I said, there is a little bit of room here, and especially looking at Bitcoin, yes, we could see a further push north, but we could stall here a little bit until we wait for the next catalyst. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's it for this session. I hope you found it useful. First of all, Jaltek, thank you very much for for your question. I really appreciate that. That's the whole point of this live session, because you can throw out questions. Feel free to do so. Honestly, at any time and anywhere. It's just that I might not straight away pick up on it because again, I have, like I said, a structure that I need to go through, and and then we will go from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, listening. Join me on Friday, as always, 7 o'clock GMT time, the usual stuff. And yeah, stay safe, have your stop losses in place, risk only what you can afford to lose, don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. I'll see you on Friday. Bye-bye.